Where's the most Scottish place outside Scotland? Tell me in the comment section below. But who made it that way? That's what I'm going to tell you. If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And if you enjoy this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. They say census data tells us this is the highest concentration of Scottish descendants in Canada. That's why I've come here to tell you about one of the good guys of Highland Clearance. You know, when people think about Scots found in Canada, they imagine rugged frontiersmen, fur traders, Highland emigrants cast from the land, Orcadians grafting for Hudson's Bay Company, Mounties, lumberjacks, or a bloke in a canoe apologising for bumping into a moose. Aye, bumping into sounds like a euphemism to me. What they don't envisage is a posh aristocrat from Kirkcudbright. Frontier revolutionary Thomas Douglas, 5th Earl of Selkirk, looked like the kind of guy who knew where the silver spoon he'd been born with fitted in the dining room table set. But the shy, awkward Scottish nobleman is a key reason that, according to census data, the place that I am today has more descendants of Scots per head of population than anywhere else in Canada. This is Prince Edward Island. But he also helped to found the Red River Colony, influenced the creation of Winnipeg, and accidentally triggered a Canadian fur trading civil war. And the thing is, he never set out to build Canada. He was just trying to save his fellow Scots. In 1771, Thomas Douglas was born the 5th surviving son of the Earl of Selkirk. He wouldn't have expected responsibility, just privilege. Rich family, huge estate, education in the classics and sending home for more money as he took the grand tour. That kind of thing. His older brothers would inherit everything. He was just the emergency backup in case anything went wrong with the replacement for the auxiliary spare tyre. He'd become a lawyer, philosopher, diplomat, maybe spend his life standing beside fireplaces, drinking claret and telling stories in Latin. What better time and place than Edinburgh at the height of the Scottish Enlightenment to see brainy toffs with their good intentions in their natural habitat? Adam Smith, David Hume, James Hutton. Edinburgh was producing intellectuals the way Aberdeen produces massive, loose-bowled seagulls. Young Thomas joined debating societies discussing liberty, justice, society and the oppressed. One of his friends, a young Walter Scott. Somewhere in Edinburgh were two young men who'd changed the concept of Scotland across continents. But as Thomas philosophised in the comfort of Edinburgh drawing rooms, the Highlands that Walter Scott would romanticise were emptying. Families who'd lived on the same land, loyal to the same clan chiefs for centuries, were being cleared to make way for sheep. As he travelled through the Highlands in his 20s, Thomas saw it for himself. Wool was more valued than flesh and blood. People displaced, communities shattered, culture uprooted. Now the young aristocrat had a problem. Having seen suffering, he couldn't unsee it. History turns on moments. Or film titles. Have you seen No Weddings and Four Funerals? One by one, his older brothers died. Yellow fever, tuberculosis, death after death after death. The spare tyre, the backup, the auxiliary and the emergency would all be needed. And as the last son standing, Thomas was the new Earl of Selkirk. Title, money, power, but also a sense of empathy for his common man. He could have taken the attitude of other wealthy aristocrats. Oh dear, how sad. But have you seen the rent paid by sheep farmers? Clearance started with folks being moved to coast to collect kelp, or the cities to scramble for work. For many, emigration was a leap to be taken when the first desperate step failed. But Selkirk had an idea. What if emigration could save people instead of destroy them? Not forced exile, not desperation, planned migration. A new Scotland overseas, but not to the United States of America. As a boy, Thomas had been at home when the American privateer John Paul Jones landed on the Scottish coastline and raided his family estate near Kirkcudbright. He'd been terrified, and he grew up hugely suspicious of the United States. So Selkirk became obsessed with a question. Could the talents and hard work of displaced Scots be directed away from America and into British North America instead? Could Scotland's tragedy become Britain's imperial advantage? They've lost their homes, but perhaps they can save an empire. Now, before we go any further, I know there's all sorts of questions about toffs v plebs and imperial interests. But I think Douglas's heart was genuinely in the right place, although the British government thought he was mad. Plus, as tensions with Napoleon rose, officials didn't want transatlantic emigration to drain Britain of soldiers who they'd rather die on European battlefields. Selkirk proposed settlements. London stalled. He recruited settlers anyway. Others might have given up. But Selkirk was that uniquely dangerous individual, an idealistic aristocrat. He recruited nearly 800 Highlanders, some already thinking about transatlantic travel. But he directed them north. And in 1803, they set sail. Highlanders, for generations tied to the land, now bound for a sea journey that would transform their lives and a continent. Cooped up in a wooden ship heading towards the frozen north, not for the United States of America, but for Prince Edward Island. This is a monument that celebrates their landing on the shore just over there. All because a 6-foot ginger posh bloke said, "Trust me." Ballsy. Now, you probably know that I'm crossing Canada performing my live comedy show Scotland Made the World. If I've got this right, then when this goes up, I'll still have shows to come in Hamilton, Fergus, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, Kelowna, Vancouver and Victoria. If you haven't already got your ticket, then get yourself along to www.brucefummey.co.uk. I was supposed to do a show here in Prince Edward Island, but Brian Nash, who was organising the show, sadly had a heart attack and passed away. I want to pay tribute to him and his memory in this video. Whilst the show's cancelled, Brian is the reason that I'm here on the island where we intended to make a video together. Here's to you, Brian. I'm sure that he would have told you that the colony Thomas Douglas established here at Belfast on the south shore of the island succeeded. It wasn't perfect. There were arguments over land, supplies ran short, but it worked. And Selkirk became convinced that he'd discovered the future. He travelled constantly, scouting other locations in British North America and collecting information. Horseback, canoes, mud roads and tiny settlements. He described York, now Toronto today, as a muddy disaster with roads almost impassable. Well, they've still got impassable roads. He imagined chains of Scottish settlements preserving language and culture. Essentially, what if we painted Canada tartan? And in some places, that's exactly what happened. But not without a fight. Nothing comes without struggle. And Selkirk found his in the fur trade. The Canadian fur trade was astonishingly profitable. Fellow Scots merchants in Montreal controlled vast commercial empires. Not wandering trappers, but corporate warlords in waistcoats, without any of Selkirk's touchy-feely altruism. The North West Company and Hudson's Bay Company competed for supremacy across thousands of miles of wilderness. And then Selkirk made a fatal mistake. He got involved. He bought shares in the Hudson's Bay Company. Then he proposed a massive new colony at Red River, modern Manitoba. To Selkirk, it was farmland for displaced Scots. To the competitor North West Company, it was a knife to the heart of their supply routes, because Red River sat directly on the routes that carried the preserved buffalo meat that fueled the fur trade. Suddenly, colonisation wasn't a humanitarian project, it was economic warfare. The first settlers arrived at Red River in 1812. From the start, things went wrong. Food shortages, isolation, and more brutal winters. Imagine emigrating from the Scottish Highlands for a new life. And it turns out the new place is even colder. Oh! Selkirk's governor panicked and he banned exports of that buffalo meat that we talked about. The Métis hunters and the North West Company traders and trappers went mental. The Northwesters started undermining the colony. Persuasion, threats, intimidation, sabotage. They burned buildings, destroyed crops, pressed settlers to leave. And many did. It turns out, freezing to death whilst being bullied in Manitoba, albeit under a well-intentioned toff, was no more appealing than being starved out in freezing Sutherland by a hard-nosed factor. Selkirk's dream was collapsing. Then came Sevenoaks. In 1816, violence erupted. The governor and around 20 settlers were killed in a confrontation with Métis fighters connected to the North West Company. Some say one man begged on his knees before being shot. Selkirk heard the news, and the humanitarian dreamer was changed at that instant. He didn't retreat, he militarised. He recruited around 90 soldiers from a disbanded regiment. Now he's not just a coloniser, now he's a warlord with legal paperwork. The mild-mannered philosopher turned gun-toting vigilante made one of the boldest decisions in Canadian history. Instead of heading for safety, he headed directly for the headquarters of the North West Company in Fort William. Aye, they've got one of them here as well. The trekking to Fort William, that was no easy feat when you had to carry cojones the size of his in a rucksack. A Scottish aristocrat with a bunch of ex-soldiers in canoes crossing Lake Superior to arrest the richest men in the Canadian wilderness. There may be trouble ahead. It worked. He got to Fort William in 1816. The Northwesters expected bluster, but instead they got armed veterans and a magistrate with arrest warrants. Selkirk occupied the fort, arrested company leaders, seized evidence, and suddenly the untouchable fur barons looked much more vulnerable. One historian later described these traders as greedy, selfish, small-minded, rum-soaked robber barons. But what a laugh in a stag night. Eventually, the North West Company was absorbed into the Hudson's Bay Company. Selkirk had won. Or had he? He now had to face a deluge from his enemies through courts, politics and propaganda. He was dragged through a process that shattered his reputation and drained his fortune. And physically, he was collapsing. Years of stress and travel destroyed his health. But he kept rebuilding Red River, kept protecting settlers, kept insisting the colony mattered. And here's the strange thing. He probably knew by now that he'd never truly enjoy success himself. But he carried on anyway. Some are missionaries and some are mercenaries. It seems to me that Selkirk was a former. Thomas Douglas, Lord Selkirk, died in France in 1820, aged 49. Not triumphant, not celebrated, exhausted. Physically and financially broken. Some contemporaries thought he'd been mad, a rich eccentric obsessed with colonisation. But it seems to me that to the extent it's possible, he was one of the good guys. The Red River settlement survived and became a nucleus of modern Winnipeg. Prince Edward Island became profoundly Scottish, as did Nova Scotia. Today, millions of Canadians trace ancestry back to Highland immigrants, some of whom lie here, like those Selkirk helped transport. And here's an irony. The Highland Clearances tried to erase Highland culture. Instead, they exported it. And maybe that's Selkirk's real legacy. Not empire, not land, people. One of the things that struck me as I visited Canada for a second time, migration isn't just movement, it's memory. Language, songs, recipes, and the propensity to apologise when it's not even your fault. All sustained across an ocean. As I cross the country, I meet folks with funny accents, and pipe bands at Cayley's, and phone books full of Mackenzies, McNeil's, McDonald's and Campbell's, in towns called Fort William, Iona, Thurso, and my very own Perth. You can still see the ripple from the waves created by Lord Selkirk's obsession. A shy Scottish aristocrat looked at suffering Highlanders and imagined not an ending, but another beginning. And in doing so, he helped build a country. I've made other videos about pioneering Scotsmen, and there's one coming up on screen now. If you enjoyed this video, then hype it, share it, and watch the next one. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member, or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, I'm Andachas going to be Lama. Sherry and Rasp.